for me to have a kid with autism is just like wild because that's what I did for like 10 years before I had him,
Yeah.
When I just look down at my life, I just feel like that led to that led to that helped me through that experience helped me through this, that helped me through that, And I can just see like, oh, yeah, I can see what you were doing, God. You know what I mean? Like that's I can see how you were helping me along this whole time.
This is the Unspecial Podcast. I am joined with Kaylee, known as Kaylee3 on Instagram. And I'm so excited to have Kaylee on. She is a mother of 3 twins and Hudson that many of us know. She's married, S2C practitioner, which we'll get into, and the founder of Autism Soul Speak, and has quite a good following on Instagram, chronicling her life and journey with Hudson, which is super awesome. And what really kind of piqued my interest in your guys' journey is how real you are with your posts, and you're not afraid to share like the hardships and the challenges and also all the joys. Welcome to the show, Kaylee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Take me back. How old is Hudson?
It is actually his birthday today, so he's 11
Whoa.
today. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Hudson.
We're headed to a water park later today, so.
Nice. Today is June 30th.
Yeah.
This recording won't post today, but yeah, June 30th. Cool. So, how old did you say he was?
11.
11. Take me back to the early days. When did the journey start with him, and what did that look like?
I mean, his journey really started from day one. Like,
really?
Hudson he entered this world in an emergency. It was an emergency to get him out. It was emergency C-section, and he came out dead. Like, I remember my first image of him. Gosh. They were like, pulled him out, and they were like, he's huge. But he was a month early, so he shouldn't have been huge. And I knew something was wrong way before. But anyway, they pulled him out, and it was just like no movement. He was completely purple. I mean, my first image of him still is like in my brain,
Yeah.
They immediately did a code blue, started CPR on him.
Did you know, well, I guess it was an emergency, but you didn't suspect any of this.
I knew for a few weeks that he wasn't moving as he should, when I was pregnant. Like, I would be like, he is not moving. And I would go in. I went into the doctor like 3 times, the hospital, and they were like, would give me sugar and then be like, there he goes. And I was kind of like, no, but he should be moving. Like, it's not, I shouldn't have to take sugar to see him move. He should just be moving,
Right.
And so I just knew, I remember pushing on like my stomach where his little foot was. He did like, I don't know, when you're like pregnant and you push on your baby, like they kind of will push back, especially when you're like ready to give birth, and like they push back on you, and he just went limp. And I remember that, and I was like, something is wrong. So I kept going back in, and finally I told my husband, I'm like, don't let them send us home. Something is wrong. And my husband is very good at being like, nope, we're not going. Something is,
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we'll induce you, and they kind of were like not worried. And it was a month before. And then it turned into like, oh my gosh, we need to get him out right away after like 8 hours of being there, So it wasn't like, we didn't expect him not to be alive, we didn't expect like, oh, he's going to come, but it was scary all around. But yeah, so he ended up having something called non-immune high drops, which is like, you never hear about it, but his whole body was filled with fluid. And so he was 9 pounds and he was a month early, and
Whoa.
Like he shouldn't have, like that was really big. And yeah, he wasn't breathing. They did CPR for about 20 minutes, I think, and I'm like, getting sewn back up, and they're trying to put me out because they don't want me to be stressed. And they take him away and finish with me. And my husband goes down the NICU, and they're like, he's not going to make it. Like, he has high drops. Like, and if you looked at, of course, like once they tell us what he has, we go and look it up because we've never heard of it. And it literally shows a picture of like a dead baby. Like like that's what it shows. And I mean, it was terrifying. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And they even told us, like, don't go look it up, probably because they knew, but it's like, you do.
You do.
And
Right.
yeah, so they told us he's not going to make it, kind of told my husband, like, prepare your wife. And we were just kind of like, no, like, we don't accept that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And we prayed, and we lived in Northern California at the time. And my husband was a worship leader at
Okay.
this like church that was like a decent size. And our whole community, not our whole, but a huge part of our community just like loved, especially my husband. He's like,
Uh-huh.
if you meet him, you love him because he cares about every person in the world.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
so he just like, people just prayed. I mean, people would tell us stories we learned after, like being at a grocery store and not knowing each other, and somehow Hudson would come up and they'd pray for him. It was like
Oh,
announced on the radio because my husband was also in a band and he had some songs on the radio, and it was announced on our like local radio, like pray for Hudson, and just things that we didn't even know were happening at the time because we were just like here.
right.
But also at this time, I had twins that were 18 months old. So it was insane.
Oh,
Yeah. And
chaos.
we ended up living in an RV in the hospital parking lot because they had a place if your baby was real sick, because it was about an hour from home. So we lived in an RV with 18-month-old twins.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't, I mean, I was just had a C-section. Our baby, like, they're like, he's not going to make it. So anyway, that's how Hudson entered the world. And obviously he did make it. He was
Yeah.
known as like the miracle in the NICU. Um, and there was a point that they told us when he was about 3 weeks old in the NICU. They said, if he's okay, he's going to live, but he's going to be a vegetable. And we were like, well, we'll see. Like, we didn't really care. Like, we were like, we don't care, but we're like, we'll see.
Right, right.
And Hudson actually, so he came home and he started thriving. Like, everything they told us he wouldn't do, he did. He was followed by like every specialist because the hospital had never had a surviving hydrops baby. And so we had like 4 specialists that we would see all the time, and they would track him and, all that. And by the time he was 2, it wasn't even like, oh, wow, look how good it was like he was in the superior range of everything. He had
No
no
way.
delays. I mean, at 2, they kind of released him. And we're like,
Okay.
okay, we don't really have, by 2, you should see any major disability. And he did, I guess I should backtrack. He did have a little limp on his left side, which I still see. A lot of people don't see, but he kind of has this limp. So because of that, they were like, well, it's cerebral palsy then, because he had a like he had so many complications at birth. Like it just kept going after,
Yeah.
But so they did diagnose him with mild cerebral palsy, but that was literally like he walked at a year. He could throw, like, it didn't really stop him. It was just almost like his left side was a little bit weaker. And that
Okay.
was kind of the extent of that. So at 2, they released him, and they were just like, I literally think I took my first deep breath when he turned 2, because I'm just waiting for something, like,
Yeah.
okay, trying to prepare myself. I actually worked with kids on the spectrum since I was out of college. I was getting my master's in school psychology. So I worked in ABA, like I was an in-home therapist, and did ABA. So I was very familiar with autism, and that's what I was really looking for, was like, how's how's his development, like checking everything. And he was like my most talkative kid, my most social kid. And then he started having absent seizures, and it took me a while to catch on. We
Yeah.
knew he was at risk for seizures because of his birth. They told us he had a hemorrhage at birth. And so I didn't know much. When I thought about seizures, I thought about like body convulsing. You know what I mean? I
Right.
just didn't know much about him. So he was having absent seizures. And then right about 2.5, I was like, he's not progressing. And I took him to the doctor, and I remember they were like, oh my gosh, he's doing so great. Because, they were like expecting, like, this
Right.
kid has been through so much, and he was talking, and you know what I mean? Just aware of everything and playing. But I was like, he's not progressing though. Like something, you know? And then by 3, he had lost it all. He lost it all. Like, I guess I shouldn't say he lost it all, but he would not talk. Like, he would have like no speech, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, I want pancakes, mommy. And you're like,
Just random.
And then nothing, jibber jabber, and it just was a regression that I think if I would have been in tune to his absent seizures, because I would notice him just like blank out, but then come back, and they were so quick that I think if I was more in tune, that maybe I would have been like, oh no, he's having seizures, but I just didn't.
Yeah,
I don't. He's a toddler, like, so I just thought he would just be like,
zoning out. Yeah.
yeah. But so I definitely had a point of denial for a while.
Huh.
But I do remember because I took him to a neurologist, and we lived in LA at the time. And it was just so hard to get any appointments. It was so
Really?
hard. Like, it would take a year for me to get my first neurology
A
appointment.
year?
It took me a year.
Jeez.
And at 9 months, I had seen the first neurologist, and he literally pushed me out of his office because I said, I need a 24-hour EEG. And he said, nope, we don't do that. And literally pushed me out of the office. And I'm like, my son is like losing everything. I'm pretty sure he's having seizures,
Mm-hmm.
Here's his history. And so it was really tough at the beginning, I think mentally and emotionally, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I need help and nobody is helping me. Like, what is happening? I had this 2-year-old, or I had this boy who would, talk and play with his brothers. And I mean, even like he was like drop kicking soccer balls, like just even his motor, like there was just, and he just had lost so much.
Jeez.
And he was stemming constantly. And I remember when I got to the first neurologist, and she was like, yeah, I don't think it's autism. And I was kind of like, I know, I don't think it's, and I just didn't think it was at first either, because I was
Okay.
like, how he regressed and how he would blurt out sentences. And it was just a really odd thing. And so we had his EEG, and we found out he was having seizures, especially at night, which really made sense because at night he was a little psycho kid.
I
Like,
see.
he just like, I mean, I know so many of us know, like, when your kids don't sleep, but Hudson would go to sleep at maybe 11 or maybe 10 p.m. and wake up at 12 at midnight.
Oh, man.
And then he'd be up for the whole time. And when he was up, it was like alligator rolls and like, I mean,
Just
high
everywhere.
energy. And then he like wouldn't sleep, which I know a lot. And so it made sense that he was having this really abnormal brain activity at night. And it was good that, okay, we can see that. So they put him on seizure medicines, which were awful. And we actually, after a year, found that CBD was super helpful for him. And we were able to
Yeah.
take him off this meds, keep that.
Mhm.
He started sleeping more. And that was kind of the start. And then they, like, when we were in LA, they were kind of like, he was starting preschool, so we did the whole evaluation. He fell under autism for the school psychologist. That's kind of where the autism diagnosis started. And then once he got that, we got ABA. And then once
Okay.
we got that, our neurologist was like, oh, he has ABA. Oh yeah, it's autism. And she switched over real fast.
Come on.
But we did find out that is, I think it's really interesting. And I think this is a part of a lot of our stories, is that our kids, autism is such an umbrella, and there's so many things under this umbrella that I think, I know in our story, just get covered with, oh, it's autism. And then nobody helps you with all these things that are
Right.
under this autism umbrella. And so Hudson had a 20 or a 3-day EEG, one of the worst experiences of our lives. It was
Gosh.
awful. And so we were in the hospital for 3 days. He was hooked up, and they said, and so during all this time, I had found something called Landau-Kleffner syndrome, and it's a rare epilepsy disorder. And it says it often gets misdiagnosed as autism. And at this EEG, the neurologist came up and they said, yeah, it looks like he has what you thought he had. And I was like, what? What did I think? Because I wanted them to be like this. And they were like, yeah, Landau-Kleffner. It looks like he has that. And I was like, interesting. And it doesn't matter. It's not different. Like, it doesn't change anything. But what was really interesting is that, so then that goes back to our neurologist. And once my neurologist found out we had ABA, she brushed it aside. And she went, oh, no, it's autism. And I said, well, what about his EEG we just went through? And she's like, oh, no, it's autism. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just really interesting because I felt like, looking back, I was just such in a world of like, oh my gosh, just somebody help me, give me
Someone.
some
Yeah.
help, let's figure out something.
Right.
But it's just interesting that if we, like, I had to stop his seizures. You know what I mean? Like, I had to find a way to help him. And it didn't feel like anybody was helping me. It felt like it was just like, oh, once it was autism, that's it. And then there was no help except for, oh, here's ABA. But it's like, but what about what's happening in his brain right now? Like, he's literally seizing. He would have seizures like all day long. All day long, he would just blank out and come back and blank out. And I even have videos. Like, if anyone wants to see, like, if you scroll down on my Instagram for a while, like, I have a video of when we were homeschooling Hudson, or during COVID when everyone was home and I'm doing school with him. And you can just see him being like zoned. And then I'm like, and then he goes, red, that's red, that's blue. You know what I mean? And you can just, So I don't know. It was a really interesting, it was very chaotic. It was extremely hard because you don't
when you had
know
the
what
twins
you're doing.
In the middle of all, like,
yeah, and I felt like a horrible mother to them because I'm just trying to help Hudson, you know? And I'm like, I feel incredibly blessed that I have twins because by the time they were 4, twins are really, really hard. But once they turn 4 or 5, it's like easier because they have each other, they're playing, like they are so much easier. Like, other kids are like, mommy, watch me, watch me, watch me.
Right.
I feel like with twins are not as much like that. They fight a lot, but they also just play a lot. So they always had each other during this really hard time.
Yeah.
So it was nice that way. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of denial. I had a lot of crying.
How did you
lived in a new place? I mean, it was.
How did you get through it all?
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I just, and that family, I mean, like I said, my husband is amazing. And I think he was much more just accepting a lot earlier than I was, where I was like, I was stressed about all these doctors appointments. But I remember just sobbing on the phone and I would just give it to him and he'd be like, we need an appointment now. Thank you. You know what I mean? And he would like find ways where I'd just be like, please help me. And I'd be like sobbing and sobbing. And I would just, because everything just took so long. It was just, and you don't know what you're doing. Like, nobody's helping. And so that part I really feel for moms who are at the beginning of this journey, because you are trying to do everything because you just want to help your kid, you know, and you're told if you don't help them by the time they're 3, like, forget it, you know? And so you just feel that. And I mean, Hudson didn't get his diagnosis till he was 4. And I remember thinking, great, we missed all the early intervention. He's 4. And I remember thinking that was so old, you know? And like, and it's just so crazy. I mean, but that's like how we're kind of fed. I feel like through like at least the medical part of it is like early intervention. Here's ABA. And if you don't do it, it's over.
It's over.
Like, that's how it feels. So, yeah, sorry. I know that was a long explanation.
No, I'm trying to, I can go everywhere with all that information. That was really good. How about on the marriage front? What were like some key things you did, or what was the big ideas or that you went through with your husband to stay together? And like, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, for myself, my wife, I've recently posted about, she's going through cancer and it's been about a year now, and just staying on the same page and supporting each other and communication has been huge. Obviously it's not all roses and it doesn't always go well, but at the end of the day, we each know that we're in each other's corner. How did it go for you?
I mean, Cameron and I met in high school. And so I was 14 when I met him. Yeah. And like, we like dated. It's funny because, you know, we were just like babies, but
yeah.
I mean, since I was 14, I've been with him. And I went away for college for 4 years and we stayed together and we had this long distance, which I think was very important for us because we met so young. And it was a time we kind of grew separately, but knew we stayed together, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
we were apart. And so I feel like we had this incredibly strong foundation because we've been best friends since I was 14. I grew up with
Mm-hmm.
him. Um, we've gone through really hard, like both of our parents had gotten divorced while we were dating. So we bonded over just being there for each other and, just we grew up together, So I feel like that was very important for what our journey is,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel very blessed that I met him so young that we were able to form this really strong foundation of like friendship. Because I do remember telling him at one point in our marriage when Hudson was regressing and I was like losing my mind. And I remember marriage was hard. We had
Yeah.
moved to LA. I didn't know anybody in LA. I hated LA.
LA. Yeah, that
And
doesn't
my
help.
husband like thrives in LA because he's a
Really.
musician, he's a
Okay.
songwriter. He had
Yeah.
that band. Like we moved to LA, so he got a publishing deal that he was like doing songwriting.
Wow.
And I hated it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I hated it, and I didn't feel safe. And I had three little boys, like little. Like Hudson was 3, and the twins were 4, and one was like what am I like? He's losing everything. One's regressing and losing. You know what I mean?
So
So
nothing is going well
no,
at that point.
yeah, and I just feel like we probably more him than me, but we have to take turns and like, okay, you're losing it right now, so I'm gonna help you. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be the one that
Yeah.
like he was just that one that was just like, okay, how can I help you? How can we make this work? Like, and he just really was definitely in that moment like the strong one that was, we're gonna figure this out because I was
Oh,
losing my mind.
yeah. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was very accommodating that way. And I know like for him like that sucked at the same time because we moved to LA for him to like pursue his dreams really, and we were all on board to do that, because when we left to go there, it was like the time of our lives. Like, yep, this is it. Our kids are little. We sold our house. We had that money to go to LA and pursue this. And he was all in the right circles. I mean, he went to parties in LA that were like the A-listers. Do you know what I mean? Like he was in these
He
right
was there.
places that were just like,
Yeah.
and then at home he had this wife that was breaking down, and a little boy who was like, so he did a really good job of like, I feel like other people could have got caught up in that LA lifestyle. He could have
Yeah.
got caught up and he could have been like, I'm going out here. My wife's losing her mind. I don't want to be
Easily.
there.
Uh-huh.
Right. And he didn't. Like he definitely put us first, took care of me, and it's just who he is. Like I really don't know how. Like I don't want to sugarcoat anything because we've definitely had times in our marriage that I'm just like, who are you? Like we haven't even talked, like because
Oh
we're
yeah.
just here and here and here and here, and there's definitely been some really hard times, and I really think it all came down to that. Even when I didn't like him, he was my best friend, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Because we had this such strong friendship for so long
Okay.
that I really feel like that just held us together. But yeah, it's definitely not, I mean, even like it's not easy. And even now, like our circumstance is like Hudson is really hard right now. Like
Yeah.
he's 11. I think he's getting into that pre-puberty. Like I said, like I'm getting a hard time. He's stronger than me. Like I have to
Yeah.
like full on body him to like get him
Get
to
him.
not break something. And
Uh-huh.
so Cameron is probably like, we've kind of had a switch where if we go, like Cameron has to be with them all the time, like when we're out. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like our roles are kind of have shifted because he has to care for him probably more than I do at this point, just because I'm
Mm.
not strong. Like, and then that's like thoughts like, well, as he gets older, then
Right.
I'm really going to be out of the pit. You know what I mean? So I feel like now it's almost like we have to deal with this new balance of what our roles are,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, to be honest right now, he can't go get a full-time job
I was
because
gonna ask, is
yeah, because
he still playing music?
Yes, he is. And he does
Okay.
lessons, and he still writes. Like, he has songs in lots of like shows. Like if you're on Netflix, you probably have heard one of his songs.
No way. Okay.
So he gets placements and stuff like that. So he still does that. It's like neither of us can have a full-time job right now because neither of us can be home. And Hudson homeschools. We homeschool now. He refused to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
He does so much better at home now, but neither of us can really care for him for an entire day by ourselves. So have to like tap each other out. And it's like a really hard time right now, like that way, as far as caregiving. And Hudson's also at an age where like my parents can't watch him because he's too big and he's too fast, or he's too strong and too fast. And so I would say like, so our marriage, like I know things aren't, it's not like we're at a spot where like, okay, we got it figured out. It's always changing, you know? It's always changing. Like different needs are always there. And like we don't go on dates, we don't have time that we go on dates, but every night, like we put Hudson in his bed at 9 p.m. He usually doesn't fall asleep till midnight, but he's in his bed at 12 or at 9. The twins go to bed at 9, and we like, that's our time. Like we go to bed and we like watch movies and we talk and we like, and that's kind of like our time. And that's why we also, I think we've always made it a point that nope, we like this family gathering we just had, like nope, we're going because this is our time as a family, and it's our, you know what I mean? And maybe it sucks and maybe it's awesome, but we just are going to do things, otherwise we're going to be stuck at home. And I think that mentality really helps our marriage, because I think we could have a lot of resentment, just the like if you're home all the time, I don't know, for me, I can't be home all the time. Like I have to do things. And I think our lifestyle that we've just have always been like, nope, we're going to do things, And I think also like I started my motherhood with twins, and it was never easy going out, ever. Like I always had 2 little babies, then 2 toddlers, then 3 toddlers, and like, so it was never easy. And so I think we just were always like, nope, we just do it. Nope, we just do it. And that didn't change as Hudson regressed, But now I have twins who like can go run after him and grab him, and like they can help with certain things.
Well, they seem like they have a super good relationship.
Yeah, no, they do. And the twins are really funny because they're so different. And so one of my twins is so like just way more sensitive and just loving. And so him and Hudson, like,
was he the one trying to sneak him over the fence?
Yes. Yeah. Like Hudson was just like pushed him down, and he's like, okay, and he like gets on his back, and he like is more probably aware of like, where's Hudson? What's he doing? And he probably tries to help more, but he will also get his feelings hurt. Like if Hudson hits him or, like just is impulsive or throws something, like it more hurts his feelings, because he's like, he takes it more personal, where the other twin is like if Hudson's eloping, you want this twin to go get him because he's gonna like wrap him down, you know what I mean? Like he's a little more aggressive with him, but also Hudson kind of will listen to him more because he's like he knows like he'll get me, So they're very different but needed equally, in the way. And they do. They have, because they're so close in age too, they've never known anything different. They're just like, no, that's my brother. It's not weird, or it's not, I don't know. They never remember life without him, know? I mean, I remember a story, and they were 5. I mean, which is so young. They were 5 years old. And this is when we were in LA, and we had a lock on the top of the door. Or no, it was outside. So we had a gate outside. And I remember going in just to like go to the bathroom real fast. I was like, and I remember saying to the twins, I'm just going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Literally, I like opened the door to the bathroom, and one of my twins runs in. Hudson ran out. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so me and this one run outside, and I look, I mean, and this is like not even a minute, And I look, I look down, and one of my twins is holding Hudson's shirt like this as Hudson's just like dragging him, to like the busy street, and he's just like all his might holding him. And I like ran and got him. We brought him in. But I just remember thinking like, for my twins at 5 years old to divide and conquer the way they did is like incredible.
Yeah.
They were like, I'll go get him, you go get mom, go, and they like did it. And without that, it would have been one twin coming, mom, Hudson ran out. And who knows if Hudson's in the middle of the street, how far he got, you know what I mean? Like, so I just feel extremely, extremely blessed to have not just them, or not just twins, but specifically them and how they just have adapted to what our life is like now,
Well, it's so easy to dwell on a lot of the negative things, but it seems like, I mean, you're an amazing family. It seems like you're in the right mindset and you see these little things and you're like, well, it could be a lot different if we didn't have that, or if the siblings weren't such a big help. That's amazing. So, I mean, obviously you didn't expect your life to look like this. And it's very easy to go into victim mentality and like, why is this happening to me? But it seems like you've been able to spin that in a way where it's happening for you and for your family. And because of all these circumstances, it's got you to where you are today. How have you been able to kind of sit in that mindset as opposed to a victim mindset?
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know what? I am going to put this all down to sports because
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up, I played like Division I college soccer.
Okay.
I was like an athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
And like, I grew up with like, get up, walk it off, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, you are not hurt enough, go,
Yeah.
Which in some ways I think is not great in my life, but it tends to, I always know people have it worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always know there are harder situations out there. And sometimes I feel like I'm almost the opposite, where I won't even acknowledge things are hard because I'm like, it's not that bad. Like, there are things that are way harder. Why would this be hard? Like, and I'm almost like, don't let, like, you're stronger than that.
What's
You know
the
what I
big
mean?
deal?
Yes. And which is not always great because it has also now led me that I've pushed so much down and I haven't expressed, yeah, that is hard. Or I am, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of dealing with that right now where my body is catching up to me. And I actually do now have a lot of anxiety that I've never had before.
Okay.
Because I need to talk about things or express like, yeah, it's hard, because I tend to be the opposite where I'm like, no, get over it. Let's go. It's fine. Mentality.
Yeah, I can relate to you on that for sure.
Yeah. So I think there's pros and cons to it, but has kept me, I too, like, I just feel like I would never play the victim with Hudson. And I think that's what I try to do on social media is show that, like, I don't want to downplay how hard it is. It is super hard. Our life is really, really hard. But me saying that, I also feel like it's super selfish because I'm like, how do you think his life is? Here's a kid stuck in a body where people treat him like he's dumb, treat him like he's 2 years old, like he doesn't understand anything, or are just annoyed or like disgusted, right? He spits a lot and like there's kids like, I just think, and he's like so brilliant. And not even like, I don't even want to put that out there that like kids are so like non-speaking kids are like the brilliant, kids
Rain
that
Man.
like, yes, exactly. Like, no. But guess what? Like, they're not behind in school. They probably are ahead of most of you in school. You know what I mean? Hudson can do math in his head like nobody's business, He loves science. And people think even like when I talk about letterboards or what Hudson can do, it's like in their head because of what they see on the outside. They think that's cool. He can spell cat or dog, right? And it's like, no, these spellers, like these non-speaking kids, are having full-on conversations that are intellectual probably way above most of your heads, writing beautiful poetry. And so to me, I'm just like, if I'm sad about my life because it's hard, like, first of all, I never want to say that my kid makes my life hard. Do you know what I mean? I have a
Yeah.
hard time doing that. But I think the way he has to live is what makes my life hard. The way that
Right.
he has to be stuck in a body that he can't control, misunderstood. I mean, he has to hate, like, as much as we hate him, like, breaking glass,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he hates it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those impulses that he, like,
It
is
just
fighting constantly.
it just happens.
I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so I think I just look at it like that. And I don't want people to feel sorry for him. I don't want people to underestimate him. I want
Mm-hmm.
people to know, like, he's stuck in this body he can't control, and that sucks. And I want you to try to, like, maybe have some empathy that way, but
Yeah.
also just treat him like he's an 11-year-old, you
Right.
know? Because when you do, you see, I swear, like, if I could tell all special ed teachers one thing that would change the behavior of those kids instantly, treat them like their age, and you will
Yes.
instantly see a change in them.
That's so
Instantly.
good.
And you get that look in their, like, they seriously will look at you like, oh my gosh, you're not treating me like I'm 3.
Right.
And you instantly just see a change in, like, their demeanor and their confidence. And it's just like so simple. Just, you know what I mean? And talk to them like you're like, I'm sorry, I know you probably don't want to do that. Your body, you can't control your body. I'm sorry. Let me move this stuff to try to, like, help your body out. You know what I mean? Like, if you just talk in a way like that you're understanding,
Yeah.
but that doesn't happen. Like,
When I was teaching, I got a little I saw things exactly how you're explaining, and a few behavior specialists, they were like strict by the book, and we would always clash. And I remember one time one came in and started trying to tell us what to do, and she left, and I was all fired up. And I sat down with my staff, and I was like, I'm going to start a new consulting business. It's going to be called Street Sped. Make your child feel human again. Because she had such a hard time that I would talk to them like this. And I'm like, they know exactly what I'm saying. All they want is for me to treat them like everybody else. And because of that, their behaviors, like you said, everyone was always like, how do you get them to do these things? Like, I just treat them normal. It's not that difficult.
yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's not the norm, you
It's
know?
not, right.
And even if people think, I feel like there are steps to truly presuming competence in
Mm-hmm.
our kids. Um, I feel like at first people are like, you have your people who are like, where I feel like this is where I started, where I always knew Hudson understood, always.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think because I got to see Hudson, I don't know, maybe before autism. I don't know how it works, but I saw him as a kid who had conversations and
Mm-hmm.
played, right, before he regressed. And he had so much personality. I mean, he was my kid that, like, at my twins, like, preschool Thanksgiving play, he jumped on stage and started dancing. Like, he's like a always been extremely social, and, like, look at me. And so I've always known that's Hudson, right? And then when he regressed, I don't know how this all works, but he became extremely apraxic, right? Where he can't move his body the way he wants, lost a lot of his motor, purposeful movement, lost his speech, gets now a body he cannot control, right? All
Yeah.
this is happening. I always knew, but this is Hudson. This little boy, that's Hudson, who wants to
Mm-hmm.
be included, who wants to be a part of the group, who wants to be on the stage shining. That's
Right.
Hudson. But I did not know, right? So I was always like, he knows, like, Hudson understands. But I did not know that he was not behind in school. I did not know he could spell. I did not know he knew, like, every state in the country. I didn't know he knew
Right.
all the continents. I didn't know he could do math in his head, right?
Uh-huh.
So once I realized that, then I treated him even more differently, right? Then I
Yeah.
was like, sorry, dude, like, Cameron and I used to be like, hide the Candy, right? Like we used to be like that.
I
And he's
used to
like, you
spell
guys
it.
are so dumb, Yeah. We like spell things so he didn't know, and then we were like, oh my gosh. So then like right. So then as I learned more, as he could show us more, like I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna now I'm gonna read you, a fifth grade book. Like we're gonna do your fifth grade work. I'm not gonna practice your sight words anymore, you know? Um, and as you learn more and understand more, I think we can presume
Knowing
competence
more.
fully. Yeah.
Right. Tell me about Autism Soul Speak and when did that start and a little bit about spellers.
Yeah. So Hudson, right? So it's been exactly 2 years ago. Like
Okay.
almost like within the week. Um, I watched the Spellers documentary.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, life changing.
Yes.
I actually think I read the book, The Reason I Jump First. Yeah, that's a great one. Changed my whole perspective. And then I watched the Spellers documentary.
Yeah.
And at this point, so Hudson was 8, just about to turn 9.
Okay.
So right around his birthday. So he was like pretty much 9. And I was just like, after reading that book and watching Spellers, like, and at this point, like Hudson didn't have ABA anymore. I was just kind of at a mindset that I was like, you know what? This is it. You know what I mean? The AAC device never worked for Hudson. Like he hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried for years, and I just thought, okay, this is the, like, I kind of almost just got to an acceptance. This is how it's going to be. And so after I watched that movie, I was kind of like to myself, like battling, and I was kind of like talking to myself, and I was like, fine, I'll try. Like, I'll try spell to communicate, And I didn't want to because I didn't want false hope, like,
Yeah, and it's
there's
just another
so,
thing.
yeah. And it's just like, there are so many things that work for some kids and not all kids. And you feel like I feel like I was burnt out of trying new things.
Mm-hmm.
We had tried so many things. And I remember just being like, fine, I'll try. Like, this is so dumb, like in my head. And I found a practitioner that was in Vegas, which is 2 hours from us, and get an appointment, take him down. Cameron comes with us. And both of us, he more so than I, is extremely skeptical. And at this point, like a lot of people, I want to make clear that like Hudson has never written a letter, he can't write at all, even though that was like his goal for the last 3 years in school, never could write a letter. He never showed us he could spell anything.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people are like, oh, my kid can't spell. Like they're not ready. Yes, they can. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Yes, they can. We had no clue Hudson could. And so we go there. She takes a letter board, starts the session. Just the fact that Hudson, my first impression, I'll show you. I have letter boards right here. So my first thing, this is a number one. So my first impression that Hudson was like she was like, okay, let's this is your first time. She's like, my name's Valerie. It's Valeri. Let's go ahead and spell that. And so, I mean, this isn't letters, but he was like, V, and she's like prompting like all the way over, and he's like A, and just the fact that he was poking, I was like,
Yeah. You're like, what is
okay, this
going
might
on?
work. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this might work because, I mean, he can't write anything, and the fact that he's poking like letters, I just thought was huge.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like the session continues, and she asks him, "What's another?" And by the way, she's just reading a lesson that's like totally appropriate for a 9-year-old, if not higher level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you're like, is he even listening? Like, does he understand what you're reading? Does he care? Right?
Right.
So then she's like, what's another word for soil? And it's like a gardening lesson.
Yeah.
And he spells out dirt. And I was like, okay, and that was it. Like, I was like, that's it. And I want to be clear, like, it's not like he just goes DIRT. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But she puts the letter board and he goes right to the D. Okay. Then she puts another one or it's the D and I are on the same board. Okay. And he goes, like, I feel like people get a misconception of spelling because is it really the speller doing it?
Yeah, there's some that controversy.
This is Hudson's now. We put this green thing behind it, but he used to use a pencil. So he goes like D, and then he's like this, right? And he might go like right? And she'll be like I, because DH doesn't make sense.
Right.
And that's a motor issue. Okay.
Yep.
So like hitting this instead of this, it's a motor issue. That's why we start with letter boards like this, where there's only 9 letters on each board.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move up. But anyway, he spells out dirt, and pretty clearly that Cameron and I were both like, okay. And the thing was too, is that when he comes out of that room, like as we left that day, Cameron goes, look at him. And he led us out of the room.
He was,
you know what I mean?
The confidence.
He wasn't following us. He walked out of the room, his shoulders were back, and he was just like, had a swag. You know what I mean? He was just like, yeah, finally.
Finally, they see me.
And I will tell you, every single one of my clients does the same thing when we start. Everyone. And not necessarily it's a walk, but it's a shoulders back, it's a confidence, and every parent will be like, something's different.
Huh.
And I'm like, I know. And it's because I'm coming in here going, or with Hudson, his practitioner for the first time is like, hey, I know you understand this. We're going to work on your body moving purposefully. You don't have anything to prove to me. I'm just going to help your body move purposefully. And now I'm going to treat you like your age, read you a lesson that's your age, and ask you questions that are age appropriate. That are not like, what letter is this? A, good job, touch A. What is it? A, not, right? Like how annoying is that when you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 20, 30? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just having someone go, like I love it when I get an older kid, because if I can be the first person to be like, listen, we're not working on your ABCs. We're working on chemistry and, geography, right?
Yeah.
And let's talk about the periodic table instead of 2 plus 2.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is like, when you think about it, if somebody were to do that to us, why wouldn't we throw the chair through the window?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to go to school?
Right.
So many of our kids like refuse to go to school once they get past like 3rd grade. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, because anyway, so after we did that first lesson, I was hooked on it, and I knew right then, I'm like, that's just what I'm doing, because I had worked in ABA for a very long time. My degree is in psychology, behavioral science. I went to get my master's in school psychology. Once I finished, I did not want to become a school psychologist because I didn't want to be on that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And not, I mean, that's not a shove to any school psychologist, but I, at this point, was working in homes with parents who would just cry and be like, I need help in the schools. I need help in the schools. And when I was doing my school psychology, like practicum hours, like internship, I remember being in meetings where like they would, and this was in California, but they would say like, don't offer these services unless they ask. Like, we are not allowed to just offer those unless they ask specifically for them. Like, we can't just give away services here,
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm like in these homes with parents being like, I just need help for my kid. And these are kids like I loved, literally came to my wedding. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yeah, I can't be on that side. I can't be on the side that's like, I'm not going to give help unless you ask specifically, And so at this time, like I felt like I was still doing ABA in schools. I always worked in the schools my kids were at, usually as a one-to-one aide to a non-speaking kid, like, just so I could be in the school with them and watch over Hudson. And so once this came out, like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. Like this. So I went through the program, and because I already had my degrees, I just had to do like, it was like a 6 to 8 month program and to become certified spell to communicate practitioner. So
yeah,
I finished that up, did my internship, and I'm the only one in my area that does it at all.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hoping I have 8 clients right now, and I'm hoping to, I mean, that's where, so Soul Speak, a cool story behind the name is that Cameron and I were like going over names, like what should we call our company, what should we call it?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few options down, and I took the letter board and I said, Hudson, what name do you like out of these options?
No
Like
way.
I had Hudson's not a completely open speller.
Yeah.
So we're not at a place that he can just tell me anything yet. But so I had some options, and Hudson wrote out Soul Speak. So we were like, that's it. That's
That's
Soul
it.
Speak.
No, I mean it's fitting. It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Wow.
he's definitely a part of the company. And I tell him all the time, like, I know that once Hudson is an open speller, he's gonna be the biggest change. You know what I mean? Once he's
Mm-hmm.
out there like on the this is what hey, this is what needs to happen, or this is what I'm thinking, that's when he's gonna be the biggest change, and I've always known that. So once we get there.
Yeah, this speller. I read that book, Underestimated, and then watched the documentary. And then I went to an autism conference, and all the spellers were there, and it was so amazing. Because I don't know, when I started in special education, I always presumed the competence. I always knew that they knew what was going on, and then within there was the rapid prompting method, and then what was that other one that got a lot of criticism?
Facilitated communication.
Yeah, yeah. And I tried all those. I tried those in class, but I wasn't trained, so I don't know. I was just trying. But the spellers and just seeing the kids get unlocked in their head is awesome.
Yeah. And once
And
you see it,
yeah,
like when you see an open speller, just like, I mean, I don't know. I just cannot understand what the controversy is about it, why
I don't
it's not
either.
looked at. I understand when you're like, like I try to get in people's heads and go, okay, where Hudson's at, he's like a semi-open speller is where he's at right now. And so on the big board, like we're still like I'm still doing a little bit of prompting, and if he's having a hard day, like I'm still gesturing a little bit, but the questions I'm asking him are not open-ended questions yet, right? So
Mm-hmm.
stick to a lesson, and I know what the answer is, or at least the options to the answer. And he's going like starting with the first letter, then I'm like, okay, I know what you're gonna say. And then I can kind of guide his body the way I need to, or back it off if he's having a really good day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like anything that we do with our kids starts with prompting. ABA is
Totally.
all about prompting. Like we
Yep.
prompt and we pull back. And we literally are just helping the body. It's literally purposeful movement is what we are working on when we're spelling. And then
Mm-hmm.
once they get open and they're in full communication and our prompting is back, we're not prompting anymore because they're at a place that they have practiced so much. They've built those brain connections and they can move their bodies. And you'll even see like spellers, if they're super dysregulated, like they can't spell,
Yeah.
you know? Like it has a lot to do with their regulation and that's why they need a partner as well for co-regulation. But it's just so interesting because other like ABA is so fully accepted and we prompt so much. I mean, I know that I was in ABA for 10, 15 years, like we prompt so much. We do
Right.
errorless learning, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so,
Totally.
yeah. And so it's really interesting that people are like, oh, that's not them, you're prompting. Well, it's like, well, but that's the stage we're at right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not at an open-ended where I'm prompting their open-ended questions because we're not there, you know? But once they do get, like, our prompting is removed by the time we're asking open ended questions. But it's a process. They're learning. It's hard work. It's not easy for them. It's hard.
Totally.
And then when you see a speller, I remember Hudson's first, or so I used to take Hudson to Vegas. They now moved to San Diego, so we don't go there anymore. But his practitioner, she has a daughter, Laura. She's on Instagram, and I highly recommend following her. I think it's Laura leads with love. Off to Laura with love, something like that.
Huh.
But she I think she's 21 now, and she's an open speller. And I remember the first time I went to the office and I saw Laura, and I was just like, here's someone that looks just like Hudson on the outside. She's stimming on the couch, vocal stimming, right? She comes and wants to have like my phone, and you know, just presents like Hudson. Like, and then as I was going through my training, I would practice with her a lot, and she was like my teacher, 100%. Like I get she changed my life. Like Laura
Wow.
changed my life. And because after I would spell with her, her mom would be like, hey, let's give Kaylee some feedback. And then she would go on her keyboard and she'd type. And so she would be like, Kaylee, like, thanks so much for spelling with me. I can tell you presume competence. I need you to be more confident because when you're not confident, it dysregulates me. Thanks so much for bringing Hudson. It was so nice visiting with him. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
and she would like, and I remember the first time that happened, and I was like, okay, like Hudson's first session, I was like sold,
Yeah.
but I still had these doubts in my head, right?
Right.
What if this wasn't real? What if like, well, like you're trying to like,
Is it him really?
yeah, like
Yeah.
reason, is this worth, you know what? And then after Laura, I was like, okay, like that's it. You know what I mean? I have no more doubts.
Yeah.
Any doubts that come in my head, I'm throwing out right away
Mm-hmm.
because there is no way that this girl who just typed this to me had any influence to type this. Nobody's talking to her. Nobody's prompting her. Nobody's, you know, touching her. You know what I mean? And which, by the way, I just want to say, I think if somebody is even touching you or prompting you, it doesn't invalidate their words, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which I think a lot of people like skeptics will say. But as I've learned this, I'm like, it's still, it's them, you know,
Right. Right.
as long as you have somebody that's trained with them doing what they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing. But yeah. And so once you see it, I just am like, how can you doubt that? And then it makes me so mad that these kids who like I think of Laura, who until she started spelling when she was like 16, I believe. And her mom will even say, and her mom's a practitioner, and she'll say like she didn't presume competence in her. You know, she thought she was really not in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so at 16 years old, she finally like you know, has a way to show what she knows and she just flourishes and she starts spelling. I mean, I think it took her like 6 months or so, which is really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like openly communicating her thoughts and feelings, and her mom's like, oh my gosh, you know. I like think about being 16 and people thinking that you are a 2-year old, that you're
Yeah.
not in there, right? And
So
even your own
hard.
family. And I don't like discredit parents at all for having a 16-year-old and everyone telling, right? I don't discredit her mom
Right.
at all for thinking that way. Like I get that. But then, and once you know, you do better. And that's what they did, you know? And now her mom's a practitioner, you know? And, but think of like, oh my gosh, I finally have a way to show people what I know. I'm 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. She's 21. And people going, nope, that's not real. That's not you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just
That's
want to be like, who are you? Like,
yeah. Who are you to say that?
it makes me so mad. And like, it has to be so disheartening. And the thing is like, I've never heard a speller or heard of a speller being like, how dare you? How dare you? Like, they are always like,
They
in
just
time. Like I go with love. I'm not over. You know what I mean? Like I swear they are like the most understanding people, probably because they've had to be. You know,
yeah.
and I think they just see things differently than
Yeah.
most of us. I think they experience life a lot differently than most of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear, and I don't want to like generalizing people in a group, but I swear spellers have a higher level of understanding love than
For
the rest of
sure.
us. Yeah.
For sure. You mentioned faith. How has faith played out in your journey?
I mean, it's I like Hudson is the biggest miracle I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
I've always believed in miracles, but I think having Hudson made me realize that miracles happen every day, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I feel like what I've learned about I feel like I mean, I always grew up Christian and you know, believing. Like I feel like my faith
Yeah.
is always I was pretty a faithful child growing up. Like I would always like if I was scared or in bad situations, like I always prayed. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was like I feel like I had a good sense of faith. And when you have kids, I feel like, do you really have faith?
They test it for sure.
And what I learned, I feel like, about with Hudson is that you need so little, and God helps you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like with Hudson, it was like, I remember being like, having a tiny moment that I was just like, I give this to you. Like, your will be done. Because when your kid is dying, it's really hard to say your will be done. You know what I mean? I would like him alive, and I would like him well. You know what I mean? Please. And I would just, yeah. And I would just beg and beg and beg. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're very much in that understanding right now.
Yeah, that level of surrender. I mean, we found out my wife had cancer. She was 25 weeks pregnant with our fourth.
Wow.
And we're in the hospital, and the doctors are like, oh, it's probably be a good idea to abort. And we're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You can just not bring that up. And then they start going through, oh, he's very likely going to have developmental disabilities and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, if there's anybody qualified, it's me. So you can end that conversation right now too. And then it just, every day went by. He ended up coming out at 29 weeks, just under 3 pounds. He had 2 rounds of chemo, and it was an emergency C-section. And it's kind of in those moments where it was like, I had a buddy, he was there at the hospital with me, and he said, kind of along those lines, like, how you react right now, or how you play this out, is how you see God. Like, is he only God of your good times, or is he God of your bad times too? And I remember thinking, like, sitting there, I don't know, middle of the night, that when he was coming out the next morning, thinking like, wow, I think I have a whole new level of understanding of faith. Because it was like, whatever happens, it's just going to happen. And now, like, I mean, he's 8 months old now, and he's 18 pounds. He's crushing it. He has like little things. We still don't really know what's going to happen, but he's healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, faith is definitely everything in a journey like this.
Yeah. And I feel like when I look back on like where we're at now and how we got here,
Yeah.
I realized I was being prepared my entire life.
Wow.
You know, like
Yeah.
I mean, since I even like, I just feel like being an athlete helped my discipline and my mindset.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a really hard time getting pregnant, but I really wanted babies. I really, really wanted them. But at the same time, not as hard as a lot of other people. Like, I had them, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then I got twins, and I was like, what a blessing to have twins.
Yeah.
And one of my twins was born without an esophagus. Like, what? You know?
Wow.
And he had to get surgery right away. And I am like horrible in hospital. Like, as a little girl, sick people scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I did not go in hospitals. Like, I mean, I would freak out. And now my baby's having a surgery. I didn't know what to do. I had another one, that was with me. And I mean, but that whole situation, like, I learned, I was not the best. Like, I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would go down. I was so scared to see him in the NICU with wires on him. Like, it was really hard for me. And God was faithful during that. He pulled me through and helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was the hardest thing ever. And then Hudson came, and it was like, nope, it can get a lot worse. But then when Hudson was in the NICU, I had no issue. Like, I knew what I was doing. I would go down in the NICU. I knew what to expect. I could be a lot more present, and I could be more like when especially my husband, when we would go down to the NICU with Hudson, the nurses like literally would be like, here he comes. Because my husband would be like, what's going on? Like, should this be like this? Should this be like this? What's this? Because we just had gone through some things with one of my twins.
Right.
And he would be like, no, I want the best nurses. Like, we were just very like,
Yeah.
probably annoying.
You
Also,
have
like,
to be.
You're telling us he's going to die, and we're telling you he's not. So we're going to
Right.
make sure he's not,
Yeah.
And then and then my background, right? Like, right out of college, I worked with kids with autism.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have this, and it is very different when it's your own. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I should have known what to do, but I didn't know everything what to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at least I had a better foundation than most people going into it. You know, it wasn't like, what's autism? Like, I knew, I knew what some necessary steps with. I knew how to, like, I don't know, deal with behaviors and be calm and patient
Right.
in it, But, and like, for me to have a kid with autism is just like wild because that's what I did for like 10 years before I had him.
Yeah.
And I just think like what I'm doing now is spelling to communicate to help these kids communicate. And I'm just like, when I just look down at my life, I just feel like that led to that led to that helped me through
Yes.
that experience helped me through this, that helped me through that. And I can just see like, I can see what you were doing, God.
You
You
can
know what I mean?
see.
Like I can see how you were helping me along this whole time.
Right.
But it
And then you
definitely,
have that too in the hard times to look back on and be like, okay, you got me through that time. I'm gonna get through this one. It's not fun right now, but
yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah. And I feel like it's those times of desperation, of like true desperation,
Mm-hmm.
that you, for me, I felt him the most. Like it's
Right.
almost times that, like when I think of Hudson in the hospital, literally not knowing if he was going to live or die every second of the day, I look back at that time and it's a really beautiful time because I was so close with God because I had no other option for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I had no strength. I had like I was just like I don't know what to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know how to survive every second by second, and all I could do is be like, here you go. I just came to such a desperate time.
Right.
Those times are really beautiful to look back on to see how God provides for you. And I know that's probably easy for me to say because I have Hudson with me and not everybody gets that. But I mean, I do truly feel like in that moment, whether it went either way, whether Hudson stayed or didn't, I still know God was with me that whole time. And I know that Hudson did stay and I got him and I know that doesn't happen for everybody. And so
Yeah.
I felt very blessed and lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But it is those times of desperation that I look back and like it's like I don't want to lose that, but
I
I
know.
it's like how do I keep that without being so desperate all the time?
How do you keep it going?
Yeah. And
I
so,
think it
but
just comes to when it is good. I don't know, just a posture of gratitude.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, this is amazing right now. Like we're in Idaho right now. This is where we moved here 5 years ago. But this week, a year ago, we had to go to San Diego for all the treatment. And this is the first time we've been back as a family in a year. And we were at the lake yesterday, and I remember sitting there just watching the whole scene unfold. Like, this is what we've been dreaming of for a year. So I'm just gonna sit here in thankfulness. And it brought back some of those moments from the NICU where I was like super close with God, and then being in the scene yesterday, it was like, oh, this is really cool.
And you hit it right on. That's exactly. You asked me earlier how I can have a positive outlook or a mindset. And I think that's why. Because Hudson, they said he was going to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They said oh, he wasn't going to be here, and he is. And so I think for my husband and I, we both understand that. We both know he is a huge miracle. That time in our life, and it was like, I mean, just it was. We were so great. Like I think I even had like it brought a lot of trauma because
Yeah.
that's just a traumatic experience. And my first image of him, like I said, like I had a lot of trauma going home, but I also just had so much gratitude and
Mm.
almost like, and I felt very undeserving, like why?
Yeah.
Because there was a baby that died right next to Hudson in the NICU,
Yep.
and the mom was sobbing over holding this baby that died. And I was like, why did like,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, but I'm also like, why does my baby get to live and not their baby? Like what? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not more deserving. You know what I mean? And so there was things like that were, that came up, but that gratitude, I think when you start there and you can remember to go back to gratitude, it really changes your outlook.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's probably the number one reason that I'm able to
keep it going.
Yeah. And I'm not always positive, you know what I mean? Obviously,
I
but
definitely wasn't this morning at 3 when the baby woke me up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously it's not always, but if you can, but when you look back where you start, you know, like when you can go back, I feel very blessed to witness a miracle like that and to have Hudson like stay,
Yeah.
you know, I feel very blessed. And if I can, that's what I feel like we always go back to is like,
Yeah.
I have that to lean on. Like he's here. Like this is literally what you prayed for, you know,
Right.
and you got it, which is incredible. So yeah.
So good. What we'll close it out here in a few questions. What are your hopes for Hudson's future?
I um it's funny because I feel like this as he grows older, my answers always get different, you know,
Yeah.
always change. And I think they change in a really cool way because now Hudson has a way that he's going to communicate. And so my
Yeah.
hope for his future is what he wants to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The fact that he can tell me what he wants to do for his future, that's going to be the day. And I will do anything to help him do what he wants to do, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
cool.
it's a pretty amazing thing because that's something I didn't know was possible until probably 2 years ago, you know. But yeah, that will be exciting. That'll be an exciting day to see
What what he
what his
does.
hopes and dreams are.
Yeah. Well, that reminds. We were at in Mexico recently for at a cancer clinic for a month, and one of the families there had a 28-year-old profound autistic son, and he just started spelling. And they tried everything. I mean, the mom, she's from New York, so you can imagine like she knew what she wanted and she went for it. And so he started spelling, and he's just recently started to put together sentences. And we were sitting at dinner one night, and I was like, "Oh, what is he saying? Did he say anything today?" And she just like, what? She's like, "He spelled today that he wants me to come home." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "You have no idea. I've been waiting 28 years for this. Like, that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
so
that just gave
cool."
me chills.
Yeah.
I know that
Oh,
feeling. Like it's spell to communicate or spell. There's spellers is like it's just so life changing.
yeah.
I am not this person, but we were at my boys basketball tournament 2 weekends ago, and
Uh-huh.
I saw a like profoundly autistic boy sitting next to his mom, just stimming away, and he was like well into his teenage years,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Hi, I'm so sorry, I'm not crazy, but have you heard a spell to communicate? Like, you should really
Yeah.
look into it because
Right.
it's like this is not this truly started for just Hudson, right? It started for like me to help my son. And
Hmm.
now, and I want to, like, that's what I would say for Soul Speak of what it is. It's not just for Hudson, it's for community. I really just have a passion to like help these kids or teenagers or adults, you know, or senior
Yeah.
citizens. I even know a practitioner that goes into like a senior home of non
Uh,
of like profound autistic seniors and started spelling with them. Like
no
imagine,
way.
yeah, like that's just so awesome. And just imagine like living so much of your life with people not understanding you and being stuck in there and like
Yeah.
having a way to finally be like, oh my gosh, here's the things I
Here it
like or
is.
don't like, even just food, you know? Like I heard
Yeah.
a story of once he started spelling and he was like at Chipotle and he's like, no, I want steak. You always get me chicken. Like I want steak. You know, just like these simple things we take for granted
Uh-huh.
and then things we don't like these. And then there's profound things, you know, and ways to express themselves and just so much. But that's really what like Soul Speak, what we want to do is really build this community and have like centers and places for
Hmm.
our spellers to have relationships with each other and with their families and you know what I mean. So we have big dreams for it, but it really is like it's funny because it started with Hudson and I feel like Hudson, I can just feel Hudson with me that we share this, you know, we share this passion
Yeah.
to help. And I almost sometimes wonder if it's his passion I'm feeling like through me, you know,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
because it's a different feeling that I feel like we're very connected in Soul Speak, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's probably mostly him. It's probably him,
Yeah.
and I can be the voice for now. But
Well, it's so
yeah,
cool that you're not only obviously showing up for Hudson, but you're taking it to the next level and really trying to help everyone. I'm kind of motivated. I'm going to look into maybe getting a practitioner. I'm motivated now because I
yeah,
mean, that was probably the highlight, and what I enjoyed most about teaching was just having the students experience life. And I don't, that's so rewarding and fulfilling to see somebody communicate.
yeah,
So cool.
yeah. It really is.
And
You should.
I
You
mean,
should go
we're
do it.
leaving for San Diego in a month, and San Diego's like the hub of
Yeah,
spellers.
yeah,
So I'll find it. I'll let you know.
yeah, yeah. No, you totally should. We definitely need like teacher. I'm trying to get linked up with some ABA companies,
Hmm.
that I could like go in and start spelling, maybe at ABA companies. And I'm also trying to get with some speech pathologists, because what's great about that is that insurance doesn't cover spell to communicate. I think in California you can use funds and stuff
There's
to
some
do
funds.
spell to
Yeah.
communicate, but most places don't. And a speech pathologist, like you can bill speech pathologist, you know what I mean? Insurance bills.
Yeah.
So if you work with a speech pathologist and get spelling under there, that way it
Right.
doesn't, like, that's a big part of what we were trying to do. Is we actually had a company that did this whole fundraiser and they raised $75,000 for Soul Speak. So all
Wow.
of our, yeah, which is insane, right? That's insane. Like that doesn't happen for people. And so all of my clients, like it's free. Well, it's pretty much free. They pay a very, very, very small amount for each session. And that's the hope, because a lot of my clients are like single moms, or they have so many other
Hmm.
like autism families generally are not very wealthy, because we have
Right.
to take care of our kids,
Right.
and we
It
don't have
costs
help.
money. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of money. And so I don't want to be a financial stress, like I want to help without,
Hmm.
causing financial stress. And so that's really a big thing of what we try to do too. Is I don't know how we're going to keep it going. Like but I also have to say, like, God has always provided for us.
Right.
And so I'm riding that faith train, but
Just,
that is our goal, is that we can give this, service to families just without any financial burden,
yeah.
because that's a real thing. And some states, like, that was a big eye opening to me, because in California you can get a lot of help. You can get a lot of
Yes.
financial help, and I mean it's super expensive to live there, and you really need it, right?
Right.
But you can get it. Other states like Utah, you cannot get it. Like I just got on a waiting list that they told me is like 8 years.
Oh,
And if Hudson turns 18, he's off the list,
he's off. Yeah.
and he's 11,
Gosh.
so you can do the math. Um,
It'll happen.
I know, I know. I've heard of ways you just got to complain a lot, and maybe you get it in like 2 years or so. But
Well, it sounds like
anyway,
Cameron's pretty good at getting in there
I
and
know. I'm like,
making it
you need
happen.
to get, yeah. Cameron will just go like make friends with them. I'm like, hi,
Right.
tell me about your life, and then come. But
That's good.
yeah,
Well, this was amazing recording. Thank you so much. I really
thank
appreciate it.
you.
If let's close it out. If you could say one thing to the world about raising Hudson or the Hudsons of the world or autistic kids, what would it be?
I think it would be to don't underestimate them. Don't let people just fall. Like, I feel like this is said a lot, but especially as a parent, like, follow your gut. You know your child. Believe in them. Believe that they're in there. Treat them like their age, and also like it's okay. You know what I mean? Like life is still good.
Hmm.
It's definitely different than you probably pictured it or what you had imagined. And yeah, it's hard, but life is hard. No matter what, life is hard, you know? And this is your hard, but it's great. It's still
Hmm.
really great, and it's beautiful. I mean, you learn. I'm so much of a stronger person, a more grateful person. I don't worry about the little things as nearly as much. I don't stress about little things, because Hudson has given me a completely different perspective on what life really is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. Well, yeah, this is awesome. Where can people find you? Instagram?
Yeah. I'm mainly on Instagram. It's Kaylee underscore and underscore 3. Not an easy one, I know. And also Autism Soul Speak on
Autism
Instagram.
Soul
And you can
Speak.
also, if you want to check out our website, it's autismsoulspeak.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I gotta give a quick plug. I recently published a book called Special Days: Finding God in Special Education, and it's kind of a lot of what we talked about. It was a lot of the mindset shifts that I had during teaching, taking my like mundane, ordinary day and making it special, and how I saw God in my students, and then I relate it back to the Bible, and it took me forever to write, but I was in the hospital with my wife, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish it finally. This is the time, and it's in the world now. The actual launch is tomorrow, July 1st,
Cool.
but it's on Amazon. I'll make sure I'll send you a copy. And
Yeah. Tell me what it's called again.
it's called Special Days, Dayz. And yeah, it's good. Getting
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of good
awesome.
feedback. So that's my kind of small way of trying to give back and help families, because I just saw it over and over again while I was teaching. Like, parents are the true rock stars in all this, and
Well, so are teachers. They make a huge difference. When you find the
well,
good ones, huge difference. Huge,
yeah,
huge, huge difference.
we only had them for like 6 hours a day though, so I think you guys
No, I'm
have it.
telling you. When you find a good teacher, like I even tried to call Hudson's third grade teacher and try to convince her to go to fifth grade because I'm like, please. It's a
Yeah,
huge difference. Yeah.
totally. Well, awesome. We'll be in touch, and I'll make sure to keep following and seeing all your great content.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. This is
Yeah.
really